It's a mascot. It looks more like a raccoon. It's not a big deal.
Some people, they just are anxious to get upset about something. Don't worry, be happy. Bobby McFerrin. It's a song. Now look it up.
Chad says, Jake, you sounded awful close to suggesting we get rid of T-Rac. Don't do this. I'm not full on the PK train of get rid of T-Rac, but I will say the Titan man walking around looked a little bit better.
Stephen A. Smith on Get Up or First Take looking like a mascot.
Yeah, he's got all the pink blazer, pink tie, pulling out. He really different from the guys he's sitting up there with. Is that Daniel Jeremiah up there right now?
I didn't
see. Maybe I made.
He was here yesterday.
He was here yesterday. That's what I was saying. I was watching Inside Training Camp after practice yesterday, and he and Kurt Warner were out there. Andy and Rappaport. So it was a who's who yesterday at practice.
Rappaport, fellow Mets fan.
Yeah. What'd you think of the Mets sell-off at the deadline?
Listen, I hate it. I do like seeing it provided for Joseph Yan to get up.
Yeah.
I think his first name Joseph. Yan is his last name.
Yeah.
But he's the leap and reliever.
Oh,
he gets the strikeout.
I saw that, and then does the half splits.
Yeah. Too much. But hey.
They made 8 trades, something like that, to move off some pieces, and it makes sense. My Tigers got rid of Skubal and Mize, and I know everyone's disappointed that Skubal ended up with the Dodgers.
Man,
hey,
Dodgers. I heard they were trying to they were talking to Jerusalem. They were trying to trade for Jesus.
I mean, would it have shocked you?
No,
Dodgers can get anybody they want. I am excited to see if anybody can get them this year. Can they just can somebody in a short series?
No,
the DS is the best chance you've got. The 5-game set. It's not going to be easy, but
who's going to beat that?
Hey,
staff?
the Cubs are playing well right now. The Mets are not the Mets. Sorry, the Braves. The Braves. I was going to say the Braves.
What?
I had Mets on my mind because we were talking about them. The Braves, the Cubs. The Padres traded for Casey Mize, who honestly was probably better for the Tigers this year than Skubal was. Hey, the Tigers are playing better since they traded away their best 2 pitchers.
So are the Mets.
The Tigers are a game out of a playoff spot right now, which is crazy.
If the Mets go 34-7 the rest of the way, they make the playoffs.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Rick on the text line, good question. This is kind of where I wanted to go next. Hey, TD and Jake, how is the scrimmage going to go down today? I know you kind of talked about it with Robbie and Joe, but what's the format going to be for fans heading out there to Nissan Stadium?
So it's going to be offense versus defense, first team, which is always fun to watch. So you got that. There's going to be some punts, some kicking, not much, but some special teams.
Yep.
Robert Saleh said he wants to set up a competitive atmosphere. So he has his own scoring format that they're going to have, to make the guys compete a little more than normal. And the fans cheering is going to make them compete too. But you got that there. The goal is to get about 90 plays. So they wanted to have like a game-like situation. 90 plays is about, usually 90 to 100 plays. That's what you get. So that's what you have. I will say a couple things. First and foremost, and I said it, Robbie Rex Road, if you get there, look for Aaron Whitecotton and Tanzel Smart. Find where they're setting up. Get there early. Find where they're setting up.
And go sit over there.
You want to be there and watch that because that's must-see programming. The intensity, the technique, all that is fun. Gates open at 5 o'clock, so get there early and do that. Now, the other thing I will say, if they do one-on-ones, wide receivers, DBs, it's not the typical one-on-one.
Yeah, it looks a little different.
You're used to. Yeah, because it's not one-on-one.
Right. It's more 7-on-7-ish.
It's 7-on-7 just with all-man defense.
Yep.
That's really all it is. And the design, the goal for that is to take away from those mad bohemian routes. I remember a couple of years, it's actually like 5 years ago, Braxton Miller was down there at the Senior Bowl. And he would run a slant post corner curl. And everybody would be like, oh, my God. It's a 6-second route.
Right.
Nobody's going to cover for 6 seconds.
Yeah.
So to take away from those, they have it set up to where it's more like a game, like an actual
Right.
situation. It's more realistic, so
Yep.
to speak. Now, O-line, D-line, you still get that.
Yes. Yeah. It was Tuesday. They were running the one-on-ones simultaneously. They had the offensive line, defensive line, and then the wide receivers and DBs. It was tough to focus on both. I was watching wide receivers and DBs on Tuesday, but
And they're going so fast. So it's like,
right.
You got one eye over there, and it's tough to.
Well, it was nice that it felt like a lot of you guys down on the field were watching the lines in the trenches. So I was focused on wide receivers and DBs, and then I got to see that I guess the offensive line won like 12 out of the 21 reps in the defensive in the trenches one-on-one. So
yeah.
it's going to be fun tonight. It kind of feels like if you've been to a spring game before for a college, that's kind of what it sounds like. Like I was over at Vandy's this year. It was a similar thing. Offense, defense, they rotated first team, second team, third team, and they had a scoring system of like, if the defense gets a 3 and out, they get 3 points or something like that. Or if the defense gets a sack, they get 2 points, and you keep score like that.
Yeah. No, that's essentially how it's going to be.
You said there's going to be special teams too. We talked to Tommy Townsend yesterday.
Oh, did you?
He's awesome. It was one. No offense to the other guys we've interviewed; they were all great. We've talked to Tony Pollard, Cody Barton, and Alec Iamaner, but Tommy Townsend was a pleasure yesterday to talk to. So much fun stuff about his college career and some of his superstitions that he has. He was great.
I didn't listen to that. Obviously, I couldn't because I was on
right.
But yeah, that's cool that you got to talk to him. I definitely want to at some point get to talk to him. I mean, punter is not high on my list right now, but I do want to. I like to get to know everybody on the team.
Yeah, he was. He had connections with Mike Borgonzi while he was in Kansas City, so we talked about that. Talked about Bones Fossil, but the question of the day on Chasing Big Joe yesterday was about your strangest superstition. And so I asked him, like, what's yours? And he said, like, he's very particular about the towel that he has during games. And like, he has to tear the tag off. And like, he said it was a very specific process that he goes through with the towel that he uses for games. So, I mean, if you're a punter and you've got to do one thing 6 times a game, it's like, I feel like there is a very particular process that you want to go through to make sure you're in the right. It's like a golf swing.
Yeah. It's just like golf.
Right.
Brett Kern used to talk about that all the time. Always fun to
great golfer, right?
Yeah, really good. Yep. Great punter, too.
Yes, great punter as well. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, our phone and text line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai, online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Again, your chance to talk to TD is coming up at 10, so get your questions in, 615-737-1025. We'll dive into the week of practice so far. The pads have come on this week. We'll get TD's thoughts on what he's seen on both sides of the ball throughout the show today. We'll talk some Hall of Fame as well today. 5-man class going in tomorrow, including Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Roger Craig, Adam Vinatieri, and Luke Kuechly. That's the group going in tomorrow.
I've been waiting. That's one of the first things I said to PK when I met him. I said, man, get Roger Craig in the Hall of Fame, man. Just stop playing.
He is going in. You've got the modern era guys that kind of been the last 10 years or so, but good to see Roger Craig getting in as well. So we'll dive into those guys coming up later on in the show. Titans talk coming up next. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, and Nick Frazier. Next man up. 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Nick Frazier with you. It is a Freaky Friday with TD. Mixing it up today. Titans practice schedule has been Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Scrimmage tonight. We are going to get you ready for that later on the show. And joint practices are just 4 days away as the Titans will be out in Santa Clara to battle with the 49ers. You'll be out there, right, TD? Okay. Awesome. We are excited for that preseason game, less than a week away for the Titans on Thursday out there on the West Coast. Let's get into the last few days of practice, TD, starting with, of course, Cam Ward. I think this week, it's been like 3 very different practices for Cam Ward. I thought Monday he was sharp for the most part. 2 really horrible interceptions, getting off script and throwing back over the middle of the field late and got in trouble because of it. Tuesday, I thought he was a little less sharp, but he had the big moment, the big throw downfield to Carnell Tate.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, we were texting about it. It was the practice overall, there wasn't a whole lot you could take from it. The one thing that I think did stand out was in the red zone period. That's when the first team offense finally got a little bit of a rhythm. A couple of touchdown passes from Cam Ward. He had a touchdown run as well.
I think, the big thing yesterday that stood out to me was there was a run that he had, and he was running to his right, just like he was on the 2 interceptions. And it looked like he might have had an outlet, but he didn't throw it across his body.
I saw that.
He just ran, so that shows, a learning moment for him where he progressed in that matter. I think that's good. But you're right. The red zone, it was crisp. It was sharp. They had a couple, and you started to see the tight ends get involved too.
Yes.
Gunnar Helm as well as Daniel Bellinger.
Yeah, I'd say the throw to Bellinger in the end zone yesterday, probably his second best throw of camp so far. I mean, the Tate one, I heard you say to Robbie and Joe, and I thought the same thing. When that ball left his hand, I was like, he overshot him. And Carnell Tate turned on the Jets, and it hit. I mean, it dropped in the bucket like it maybe Cam Ward did overthrow it initially, but Carnell Tate made the adjustment to go out there and get it.
Yeah.
So I thought that was his best throw of camp so far. But the Bellinger throw yesterday, not the same distance, but it reminded me a little bit of Levis's touchdown in his debut to Nick Westbrook-Akine of kind of fading right, turning back left, and just like, dropping it in the bucket. Again, it wasn't from 50 yards out. It was from like 20, but it was a really nice throw yesterday from Cam.
Well, while you mentioned Levis, I mean, he had a couple of nice ones to Bryce Oliver on Tuesday.
Yes, he did. Yeah, the deep ball.
Yeah,
though he hit him a couple of times yesterday. Me and Chad, our engineer up there, we were laughing because in red zone, Will Levis had the ultimate Will Levis experience on back-to-back plays.
Oh, when he missed, who did he miss?
Well,
Restrepo?
No, the one where he tried to throw it out the back of the end zone, but came up short and it got picked off. He was clearly trying to throw it away, but he left it short and it got picked off in the back of the end zone. Yeah. And I immediately said, I was like, wow. And then next play just throws a dart for a touchdown. And I'm like, that's the Will Levis experience. It's just, he can make all the throws, but the inconsistency and some of the decision-making just baffles you sometimes.
Was that the mechanic that caught the touchdown?
It might have been. Yeah. Yes, I think it was. It was a little like a slant route right over the middle.
I think that was Jaron Kennick. The mechanic came through. But yeah, I mean, that is the Will Levis experience. It's just so crazy how it's just like up and down. I remember that interception. I turned to D-Mace and I was like, man, like he's supposed to like try to hit the top of the damn bubble.
Right.
Like throw it away. Like don't just joke about it. Throw it away, man. But that is, like you said, that's kind of what you get with Levis, just the up and down. But it's just like when it's up though,
Yeah.
Conversely, when it's down, oof.
Yeah. No, and yesterday he had, I don't even know what you want to call it because he would have been sacked pretty easily. I forget who broke through. He would have been sacked, but then he threw a pick, or was it the forced fumble James Williams had? Like, they let the play go on, but he would have been sacked almost
Kyle
immediately.
Kyle Granson running the out.
Yeah. So, and we'll get into James Williams a little bit later on because he's been one of the standouts. But with Cam Ward, I think you made a good point of yesterday. He saw the option in the middle of the field and began to run it a little bit more. Brian Daboll does like to have his quarterbacks run, and I do think that that's something that Cam Ward needs to add to his tool bag, is being able to be a more willing runner.
Yeah, and it's tough. And I saw this movie before with Donovan McNabb where, he had the ability to escape the pocket and make things happen that way. This was around the time when Rush Limbaugh had his crazy comments about him scrambling too much or something. Like, Rush Limbaugh, stay in your damn lane. Like, you don't know this sport. Talk politics. But McNabb started to always play in the pocket, and it took away from his game. And I'm not saying Cam Ward is always playing in the pocket, because he does escape, but that's a stinger that he has. Like, you want to use that a little bit more. So you would like to see him run a little bit more. A lot of times, when he runs, and I like it because he's running the pass, but sometimes you got to run to go get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's something that he did in the Jaguars game. Of course, he got hurt, but, you want to see that a little bit more. I'm not saying they're going to run a lot of read option, like Jackson Dart and the Giants last year, but I think you're going to see a little bit more of that with some opportunities for him to run the football.
And I think it just puts more pressure on the defense when he at least shows that he's willing to do it, because sometimes you're going to run and you'll get 4 yards on 1st and 10, and that's not a bad play. But if you show that you're willing to do it, sometimes you're going to get those linebackers or corners cheating up to try and stop the run, and that opens up the play downfield too. It all kind of works together, but you have to show defenses that you're willing to run when you get outside.
Yeah, you put them in a bind. You attack the line of scrimmage, and you'll draw them up, and that's the whole running the pass side of it. You know what I mean? Once you show the threat of running to get some big yards, they'll start to kind of try to split the difference between you and the receiver, and that's an opportunity to drop it right over top of them, and it could be a big play from that perspective.
Overall, I think Cam Ward has had a solid week in pads. Again, hasn't been anything super spectacular, but I think it's been solid. And next week's going to be really important with the joint practices. I know the 49ers are banged up right now, mostly on the offensive side of the football. But seeing another team, another scheme out there, I think that's going to be a good first test of training camp for Cam Ward as he goes out there in Santa Clara next week.
Always. You get in a different, you get to see a different defense, a different set of players, guys that don't know what you're going to do, in situations. So I think that's definitely going to be a good thing for him. And then you also got to look at, man, the Niners team, like, that's a good measuring stick.
Yeah. Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Diablo Lenore, like, they've got good players over on that side of the ball. And again, that's the side of the ball that's a little healthier right now. They're missing like 80% of their wide receiver room in San Francisco. So excited for that. Tuesday joint practices, Thursday preseason game. On Cam Ward, he was on NFL Network after practice yesterday with Kurt Warner and Daniel Jeremiah. And it was funny. They asked him about some of the young guys who were standing out. And I thought it was hilarious, given what happened towards the end of practice yesterday, that the guy he pointed out was Kevin Winston. He goes, Kevin Winston can really close gaps for you. I was like, yeah, I saw that when you tried to hit Iamaner, and it looked like it was going to be a touchdown. It was a good throw. Iamaner was open. Kevin Winston slammed that door shut, which obviously disappointing to see Iamaner get banged up on that play. But that's the type of thing you're looking to see from Kevin Winston, where that looked like a surefire touchdown, and he closed that gap so quickly.
He had that Eric Davis range at center field, man. It was really good to see that. And I know people, you got people who aren't there describing these things.
Yeah.
It wasn't intentional. It wasn't.
He was making a play on the football. I thought he almost
making a play on the football, and it wasn't like not protecting your teammate. It was a bang play. You gotta remember, like, this sport it's physical.
Yeah.
You're going to have these collisions. You can't tell him, hey, don't go for the football. He was going for the football. And like Robert Saleh said, the range he showed on that was incredible.
Yeah.
To be able to close in. So Cam Ward, to his point, Kevin wins. And it's funny because just last week, so for SC for You, once a week, I do an interview with a player. I had Kevin Winston last week. And I said, hey, Kev, man, pads are on. How are you going about protecting your teammates, but still playing the game the way that you do. And here it is. It showed up, and it kind of is what it is. Hopefully, Manor is good to go.
Yeah.
It looked like the left shoulder he was favoring. We'll see.
It looked like at first he may have just gotten the wind knocked out of him, but then, yeah, you're right. He did kind of walk off holding that shoulder. So we'll see tonight at the scrimmage. Again, it's so early in training camp that if a guy doesn't practice, it's not a real reason for concern.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's not out there.
Right. Like it's you've still got over a month until week 1. You want to make sure that you're doing right by these players to make sure they're ready to go when it actually matters. It was nice to see Dan Moore back out there yesterday, though, because obviously that's a position where you can't really afford a guy to miss any significant time.
Yeah, it definitely was good to see him out there. They had a double team. He and Skoronski had a double team on Jeffrey Simmons. Jordan Elliott, number 95. I don't know if you remember the play.
Yeah. Oh, he blew
That's
it up.
why he made the play.
Yeah.
He killed the center. Listen, I think it was Schlottman. I'm not sure, but he better call the 800 number because he got violated.
I can't remember if that was the first or second team offense, but that was one of the plays yesterday that kind of got everybody's attention.
It was first offense because it was Skoronski and Dan Moore.
Yeah. So it was the first team offense, and he blew that play up. It would have been 3 or 4 yard loss on the run.
But to your point, getting Dan Moore back out there is definitely a good thing. J.C. Latham actually. He had a couple nice blocks in team period, just, when they were going through run stuff, and he was hype about it too. I think if he could get out there and consistently be out there, because he did come out part of team period, I want to say on Tuesday he came out after 3 snaps. Austin Deculus came in, and Deculus stayed in with the next rotation. But he did come back in later, and that's when he was having some nice blocks in the run period. So I look, the tackle situation, it's a question mark, right?
Yep.
Latham is a question mark, but the thing that I do like is it is a question mark, but there are some variables that are coming to the surface.
Yep.
This man was not able to work lower body at all.
I know that
last year after the
quote
injury
stunned me that he couldn't work his lower body at all last season.
That's crazy. Offensive line, it's all this lower
legs.
body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for him to be able to be out there, I give him props for that. But you're a top 10 pick, brother. You know what I mean?
Right.
There are expectations, and he knows that, and he's working to live up to it. Hopefully for his sake and for the Titans' sake, this year will be the one where it's like, okay, right tackle is situated.
There are a lot of reasons why J.C. Latham has maybe not popped as much as you would have wanted him to. You flip his position from college in year 1, and then you flip him back, and then the injury. But you're right. When you're a top 10 pick, at some point, you've got to show why you were a top 10 pick. And this feels like the year that he's got to do that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Get your questions in for TD. We will talk to TD, let you talk to TD coming up at 10 a.m. We'll continue the conversation around the trenches, the O-line versus the D-line. What's it look like since the pads came on Monday? We'll do that coming up next. Keep up with Titans training camp with 102.5 The Game for the latest updates, player interviews, and more as we get you prepped for the upcoming Titans season. Coverage of Titans training camp is presented by Twin Peaks Restaurants, Parman Tractor and Equipment, and Tri-State Water, Power, and Air. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Nick Frazier, next man up, 102.5 The Game.
Humped it up and fell down on his behind. And it was quick.
Next man up, 102.5 The Game.
Woo.
It's a Freaky Friday.
Good edit, Nick. Good edit. I was on the beads of sweat started to build up. When he said candlestick, I was like, oh, damn.
Nick Frazier is our seasoned veteran here. If I know one thing, I know he's not going to be rushing to the dump button because of his own actions.
The first 2 years were that. Now the last 2-3 years, it has not been that. So we're good.
Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Nick Frazier with you on this Freaky Friday with TD. Again, coming up at 10, we'll get to all of your questions. So get those in on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You can also drop them in the YouTube chat. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at 102.5 The Game for live shows and exclusive content. TD, we were talking about the trenches a little bit, offensive line, defensive line. This again, it's probably not a compliment, but I had very low expectations for the offensive line heading into the padded practices. I thought at least the first couple, you were going to see the defensive line dominate. And although I will say I think the defense has won more than they've lost, it has been more competitive than I expected. The offensive line has held their own for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the quarterbacks have been able to be a little more unbothered than I thought.
Yeah,
I was like, man, they're going to be flagging, whistling a lot of plays dead. I mean, you're still getting your share of them, but not as many as I thought. I think, the guys are like Sloatman.
Seems like he's been fine.
Andre James,
yeah.
When they run inside, like those have been good runs, but even like, they seem to be holding their own up, give or take, a couple plays, Simmons and JFM and Elliott, but I think it's a lot better than I thought. Robert Saleh said they're still nowhere close to deciding what is up with the starting spot at center or right guard. It seems like they're closer to a decision on center, but here's the thing that's cool. You see Pat Coogan taking he's taking earlier snaps than I thought he would have. I thought it was just going to be, hey, he's out of it. It's Andre James and Austin Sloatman, and whoever loses is cut.
Right. And Andre James has been kind of a non-factor. Like he's not rotating in with the ones at all, which we expected given that he has more experience at the NFL level than Austin Sloatman, that he might get a run at it. And so far it does feel like Sloatman is the guy. But you're right. Coogan's been taking some early reps. He was up top with across the street yesterday. And that's a big man. Like Pat Coogan, I don't realize how big those guys are being up at the bird's eye view, but I was in the elevator with him yesterday and I'm like, the flaw with this guy is that he's undersized. Like this is a massive human being.
That's the flaw?
I thought that was what they said coming out.
Like 3 something.
It's physical that they've said is his issue. It's not like that he gets the smart and tough label. Like,
oh, okay.
I want to see his scouting report because I was going to say, I thought somebody were saying that he's undersized. And I was like, this guy at center? But no, it is. I think center, you're right. Sloatman is probably the guy there. And at right guard, I will say I haven't noticed Volson or Slater getting beat consistently when they've been in there. So
No.
we've talked all offseason about the question marks there. And who knows, maybe they're going to be big issues when the season comes around. But based on what I expected and the talent that you have across the other side on the defensive front, they've been better than I anticipated so far.
Yeah, and that's a good thing, because we know the front. What did Jacob Martin say?
Yeah,
it starts with the front, and we go out and we go ahead, Nick, hit the beat button.
Yeah,
because he had two active curse words in there. But then I thought that they were going to dominate, though. I really did. But it's been a pretty balanced issue. I don't know what I want to call it issue. It's been a pretty balanced performance.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, and again, when you look and say the defensive line is the strength of this team, given what they invested this offseason and John Franklin Myers and Jordan Elliott and Solomon Thomas and Keldrick Falk, it's like you look at all the depth that they've added there, and we talk about how little they invested in the offensive line. To see that group at least holding their own has been encouraging so far.
Yeah, no, it's been encouraging. Here's the thing. You still got a couple top 10 picks, not top 10, but first round picks.
Yeah, Skoronski and Latham.
it better be at the minimum where it is now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It still has to get really, really more consistent, more proven, because the fact of the matter is the one constant right now is Skoronski.
Yep.
That's it. Dan Moore, he's close to a constant, but that constant is okay, solid,
Right.
not great,
Not all pro
not
level.
terrible.
Yeah.
Serviceable.
Skoronski, we've talked about this week. That contract's going to be massive.
Woo.
The Bergeron in Atlanta got 4 years, $96 million. Skoronski's going to beat that at the very least. So we'll see when that comes down. I saw the contracts are being handed out fast and furious around the NFL right now.
Running backs matter again.
I know.
I know.
We discussed the running back market, and the lack of movement in that market, the lack of a jump, when we've seen every other position just take these big jumps year over year. James Cook got a lower total value of a contract than Chris Johnson did in 2011.
Yeah, he led the league in rushing.
Right. James Cook got 4 years, $48 million. I want to say Chris Johnson got 4 years, $50 million in 2011. And so seeing the jump where now these guys, Gibbs and Robinson, are getting close to $25 million a year, you're finally seeing that market start to take the leap.
I wonder how Gibbs feels seeing, Cook feels seeing Gibbs, Robinson, Jonathan Taylor too.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Taylor is so good. You talk about underrated players.
Yeah. And that's a great deal for them, because again, you don't want to, I don't know how long you want to invest in running backs, because the wheels can fall off pretty quickly, but at 2 years, $44 million, I think that's a good deal for the Colts.
Yeah, it's a very good deal for the Colts to have him for another, because I know Daniel Jones had a good start, but
Jonathan Taylor was unreal while Daniel Jones was healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, don't get it twisted. Jonathan Taylor is the backbone of that offense.
Right.
You know what I mean? As long as you could turn around and get a ball. And the thing I love about it, you could give him the ball on the 1 yard line
or
the plus 1 yard line. And you got a chance to score.
Yeah. The long touchdown run against the Titans last year, where you just saw everybody take the wrong angles because he just breakaway speed, turn on the jets. Yeah. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Turron Davenport in studio with us today. Your chance to ask him anything is coming up at 10 o'clock. We'll wrap up the first hour after this. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Nick Frazier, next man up. 1025 The Game.
In the bathhouse.
Next man up,
What
102.5 The Game.
Cruise.
Little TD request here to wrap up
This
hour
is
number
my
one.
song. One of my favorite songs ever, man. It's a vibe song. I put this on when I'm driving sometimes. Woo! When I'm on the highway, I gotta every once in a while I look down because I'll be doing like 110 and not even realize it.
He came here. You went to his show a few months
yes,
ago, right?
Yeah, me and my lady, we went. Had to go see that. I mean, he wasn't gonna come to Nashville and I didn't see him.
Yeah.
No.
There are those artists where it's like, all right, if they're anywhere drivable, I'm going.
Mm-hmm. That's the third time I saw him. I saw him twice in Philly, but never like his own show. I saw him with Made in America, where they have like they'll come out and do like 2 or 3 songs.
Gotcha.
It's on the Parkway for July 4th.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
If you get to go to Philly on 4th of July, do it. It's pretty cool, man. It's a dope experience. You got the Parkway there. Everything is Made in America. Everything is like real cool there. Liberty Place. If you go in there in the center part of it, they have like this huge sand, like a sand castle, and it's something 4th of July themed. Then of course you got, the Independence.
Right.
It's something to do.
Yeah, I would think Philadelphia for the 4th of July is like one of the best places you can be. I mean, it's where the Declaration was signed. And especially this year for 250, I'm sure that would have been cool to be up there this year.
Oh, they had a lot of extra things. Oh yeah, I was just getting back from Greece, so I wasn't going to go.
Yeah,
because I'm sitting here thinking like, why the heck didn't I go for that? But that's why.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Get your questions in for TD on our text line. We will get to those coming up in about 10 minutes here. You can also call anything you've got for TD, Titans related, non-Titans related. We'll get to all of it coming up at the top of the hour. TD, wrapping up on the offense here. Carnell Tate. Lots of expectation on him heading into camp, coming off a great offseason program. He's been good. He's flashed a few times. I don't think it's been quite as dominant as you saw when the pads weren't on in the offseason work, but he has been a playmaker pretty much all 3 days this week when the pads have come on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been pretty cool watching the battles between he and Alontae Taylor. I know some people have said that Taylor's always getting cooked. Not necessarily.
He had a nice pass breakup yesterday.
Yeah, he had. Listen, on Tuesday, it was Alontae Island for a little bit. Then they dropped a bomb on the island and blew it up. You know what I mean? But it was for the most part good coverage from him. I like that matchup, and the thing about Tate. Now he did have one drop, but I think if the ball gets near him, like that dude, for the most part, is going to catch it.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that they're moving him around. You're seeing him play multiple positions. Can't really get into it in detail, but you are seeing him more than just, at one spot, which is good. They're finding ways to get him the football. I think he's a guy that is a legit downfield threat for them, and you saw it with the post that he caught. Yeah, I mean, the arrow is only pointing up for him.
Yeah,
he's smooth. He's cool. That's one thing I noticed, too, about him. Like, that's a cool dude where it doesn't seem like you're going to rattle him. Alontae Taylor said it. Like, he talks his talk to him, but Carnell doesn't say anything. He just keeps it moving. But it's interesting because if you watch, Simmons on the pivot? He said that Carnell was talking to him, but he had the ultimate comeback. He said, "Young fella, don't talk to me. I got more touchdowns than you." I was like, that's a good comeback.
We'll see how long that stat lasts. Yeah. But right now, yes, Jeffrey Simmons does have more touchdowns than Carnell Tate. Mm-hmm. With Carnell, he's looked good. I think smooth is the right word for him. It's just like everything he does is smooth. He had a touchdown in the red zone period yesterday as well. When he was on with NFL Network yesterday, he was asked who he compares his game to. He said Davante Adams. Do you think that's a good comp for Carnell Tate?
I don't know that I mean, I guess maybe with the releases and a smooth route running.
Yeah.
Adams to me is just kind of like in a kind of his own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I watch Carnell Tate, I get George Pickens.
Yeah, I can see that.
Their body types are very similar. Right. The way that they could, excel on the boundary. That's the feeling that I get.
Yeah, I can see that. I think Davante Adams, right? The body type isn't the same as Carnell.
He's a little
Tate.
more compact.
Yeah. But yes, the smoothness of the release, getting in and out of the routes, like I can see that with Devontae Adams. But I think you're right. It's like Carnell Tate is George Pickens without the other concerns.
Notice we said cool.
Yeah, cool and smooth.
Yeah, you talk trash to George Pickens, you might have to squabble, right?
Right.
But you talk trash to Carnell, he's just going. It seems like he's just going to smile at you. You know what I mean?
The George Pickens draft picture is still one of my favorite. I don't understand what he could have been thinking in that moment of just
and with a shiesty on too. That's the funny part. A shiesty and he's leaning for like, what are you doing, bro? That's hilarious.
And it seems like he's calmed down since going to the Cowboys. I think he probably realizes there's a lot of money on the line for him last year and this year. Quick tangent. I think the Cowboys are winning the NFC East. I don't know if we've talked about this yet.
No, we haven't.
That's a tough division. I think all four of those teams are going to be better this year. And maybe Eagles are going to be what the Eagles are. I think the Commanders will bounce back. I think the Giants will be better with John Harbaugh in there. But the Cowboys, the talent that they've got up and down that roster, if it doesn't work, then somebody's, whether it's Dak, whether it's Schottenheimer, like something needs to change because they've got talent wide receiver. They've got talent on the offensive line. They've got lots of talent on the defensive line. You draft Caleb Downs. That's a team that should compete for the division title this year.
They absolutely should. I mean, real rap, they should compete for the darn NFC championship. You know what I mean? Well, the Rams are the Rams, but still, I think when you look at this team, they are stacked with talent. But I want to see, and the scheduling, getting the Eagles on week 2 is a huge plus for the Titans.
Yeah.
Of course, they have to gel and get things right themselves.
Right.
But you're getting a team like down the stretch, I think the Eagles are going to be a serious problem.
Yeah.
Like once Mekhi Lemon and those guys get acclimated, of course, Devontae Smith is him, but once he and Dontavian Wicks out of Virginia, who I really like, they signed him from the Packers. Like once those guys get rolling, I think that's going to be and when all else fails, you turn around and hand the ball to Quadzilla, right? Saquon Barkley. So, I think catching them early is going to be good. But once it gets rolling, that NFC East is going to be fun to watch. I don't know who's going to win that division.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I mean, Jaden Daniels, if he stays healthy, the Commanders could compete again. And again, the Giants, I think, are the wild card there of they've got a lot of young talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
I mean, pass rushers.
They got Kayvon Thibodeau is, I mean, I know that they thought about trading him, but he's still there. And then you get into the two guys you drafted in the top 5 each of the last 2 years with Carter and Reese. Oh, and Brian Burns, who was second in the league in sacks to Myles Garrett, is still out there as well. So
yeah, Brian Burns, man. You know who worked with him? Shout out Brent Calloway, who's with the Titans strength coach staff, speed and strength staff. He worked with Brian Burns going into the combine and all that.
Yeah.
Montez Sweat too. When Sweat ran that 4.50. That's good Lord.
That was a fun draft class, and that was the one here with lots of great pass rushers, lots of great interior defensive linemen. I mean, you look Bosa, Quinnen Williams, Montez Sweat, Brian Burns, Jeffrey Simmons.
Yes, Jeffrey Simmons.
I'm trying to think. There might
Dexter Lawrence was in that.
Yeah, you're right. Like, man, just a loaded draft.
Loaded class.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. It is now your time to talk to TD. Get your questions in. Call or text 615-737-1025. We will get to all of them over the next 30 minutes. Today, the Nashville Sounds take on the Memphis Redbirds. First pitch is at 7:05. You can catch all of the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks, Family Leisure, Maple Street Biscuit Company, and Social Cantina. Talk to TD. Up next, Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Nick Frazier. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5, The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Nick Frazier. Second hour on this TD Thursday. It is now your chance to talk to TD. Get your questions in. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Quickly, 10 seconds for station identification. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Let's get to some questions here. Again, get yours in. You can call or text 615-737-1025. Let's start with our other TD from Nashville. He asks, so we see a wide receiver go down yesterday. There appears to be depth in the wide receiver room. If Iamaner misses some time, who needs to take advantage of this opportunity?
I would say Bryce Oliver. Probably Oliver. I can't think of anyone else. My phone went off. That was something we didn't want anybody to hear.
That probably doesn't want. We don't want that one going over the air.
That was Lige Duzable sent me something about Jeffrey Simmons, a fan talking about Simmons, but. Yeah. What were we talking about?
Wide receivers who need to step up if Iamaner misses some time.
I would say Bryce Oliver, KJ Osborne.
Yeah.
Those are the two because they're kind of like in that next rotation, so to speak. Oliver has been consistent, though. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Osborne, after having a solid OTA and minicamp, he's kind of faded away, right? But I still think he's going to be in the mix, and he's someone that, you know, it's kind of like if something should happen, God forbid, with Ridley, you could slide him in there. But the thing that about Iamaner is, you know, he's playing both. He's moving across. Oliver is the guy to me. Bryce Oliver is the one that has to, like, if Iamaner is down, Oliver has to step up. He has to go to, you know, Greg, hey, look, man, let me run, get some run at X.
Yep.
Let me get some run at Z. Let me, you know what I mean? And the way that I'm not saying literally go to him and say that. You say that by every time you're on the field, you go make a play.
Yep.
And you make him like, damn, I gotta get 80 out there, man. Let's see. Hey, 85. Come here. Hey, Bryce, go out there at Z. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are the things that you have to see happen.
He made a couple of plays. We talked about him earlier back on Tuesday. One was kind of a deep crossing route, and Levis hit him. And then 50-50 ball, he went up and snatched it down the sideline. So Oliver, I think the expectation heading into camp was Oliver was the leader in the clubhouse for the 6th spot in the wide receiver room, and I don't see anything that would change my mind on that so far in camp.
Nothing should change your mind, because one of the other things you got to think about is the importance of special teams, right? And was it Robert Saleh, I believe it was?
Yeah, Saleh said you got to live in Fossil's office.
Fossil, you know, he loves Bryce Oliver.
Yep.
So that's definitely an info.
Yeah, I think he's probably making it. And you mentioned KJ Osborne has kind of disappeared a little bit. Xavier Restrepo as well. I haven't noticed him very much. I said it on Wednesday with Corey. We did it again, where we get all excited about Xavier Restrepo in the offseason, and then training camp rolls around and he's kind of a non-factor.
Yeah, you know, he was wide open in the end zone. Levis had him, but open but missed. I do think he's kind of faded away, and look, he's going to be a guy that he's the modern Mason Kinsey, you know, and I wonder if this practice squad could keep 2 of those guys.
Yeah,
we'll see. But I mean, Mason Kinsey caught a touchdown yesterday.
Yes, he did.
He caught it.
Yeah.
And I love it because he always puts his arms out. You know what I mean? It's always like a nice, it's a spectacle when he catches a touchdown or makes a big play. I love it because people genuinely root for him. They're like, man, this dude,
he does all the right things.
Always says the right thing. Always has a good attitude. Sometimes he'll scrap if need be.
Yep.
He's going to block. In fact, he had a really good block. There was a screen. I don't remember who caught the screen, but like he drove that corner to the sideline. He said, come on over here, buddy. We're going to go over here so that my running back or whoever it was could proceed to the end zone. So, yeah, I mean, listen, salute Mason Kinsey. I know there's people out there to say he's a bum, this, that, and the third. Listen, if you say that, you're sorely mistaken because there's no one in the NFL that's a bum.
No
one.
If you are in an NFL training camp, you are a very good football player.
Every last one of them are special athletes.
But I think the point has been made of as your roster improves, you hope that you lose the need for a guy like Mason Kinsey to be on your team, and even if he's on the practice squad, getting reps throughout the season. But yeah, I realized, and Chad texted in to remind me too, the touchdown from Will Levis we were talking about yesterday, that was the one to Kinsey. That was the slant over the middle that Levis hit him on.
It was, yeah. In
so
fact, it was. Yeah, that was the dart. Yep, it wasn't Canick. Canick had a catch. I don't remember who caught, because I remember he caught, and I was like, oh, man, thank you. I've been waiting for this guy
the mechanic
to resurface. That's right, the mechanic.
615-737-1025, getting to your questions on our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Justin in Greenbrier says, TD, I know it's still way too early, but after a week of practice and seeing the talent on the field, do you think they can be a 500 team this season?
Yeah, it's early. I was on chopping it up with CJ, my guy Chris James from Football Game Plan, and we did like a projection for the whole NFC South. But when we did the Titans, I said 7-10.
Okay.
CJ was like, man, I think this team could go 9-8, but more realistically 500.
Yeah.
So, there you have it right there. Actually, you can't go 500 with 17
not
games,
anymore.
but in that ballpark.
8, 9, 9, 8,
yeah, 8 and 9. They're going to have games, and see, the thing is, when you have a team that's going to be so good defensively like this, you're going to have games where the defense just goes out and it shuts things down, and the offense gives you 17 points. They win 17-14.
Yep.
Like, there's going to be a game where you're like, how the heck did they beat so and so? And it's going to be because of that. You know what I mean? So I think more realistically 7-10, but if the ball kind of bounces their way, and folks, it's a saying, okay? Understand.
If you get the breaks, right?
Yeah, let's say it that way. If you get the breaks, right? And I know it's all gas, no break, but if you get the breaks,
right,
there are a few games that could go your way. And that's one of the things that my guy CJ had mentioned. I thought that was really good. Is this is a team, they're probably going to lose a good amount of one-score games.
Yeah.
Right? But next year, one of those been there, done that type of situation.
Finding a way to win.
They find a way to win those one-score games. And when he said that, a light bulb popped into my mind, because 2016 Eagles lost a whole bunch of one-score games.
Yep.
The next year, they won a bunch of them. Next thing you know, Super Bowl. I'm not saying the Titans are going to win the Super Bowl in 2027. So stop. All right. I'm just saying that's an example of how things could switch up for you in a hurry and to start to look good.
There is something about learning how to win.
Yes.
And this team, a lot of young guys, they've got to learn how to win football games. And there are going to be games this year that the Titans lose by 14 plus points, right? There are going to be games where they're just not competitive at the end of the game.
Oh, they're going to get blown up.
There might be some games where the Titans take care of business and they win by 14 plus.
Imagine that.
Right. I think there might be some games where the Titans come out and they play good football and they win and it's not close. But I would say 12 at least of the 17 games are probably going to be won on the margins one way or another. And I agree with you. I think they're going to lose a lot of those games this year, but it is a process of finding a way to win, learning how to win. And I think that's a lot of what this year's going to be. So you could put them at 5-12. You could put them at 9-8. But the difference of those 4 games is probably going to be 2-minute drill, late game. Can you go get it done? And the question may be yes sometimes. The answer may be no sometimes. We'll find out.
2-minute drill. That's one of the 3 pillars of quarterback, and I'm actually working on a story on that. It's one of Robert Saleh's 3 pillars of quarterback.
Yep.
So 2-minute red zone and third down. So that's what a quarterback wants.
Yep.
Right. They want the ball in their hands 2-minute on third down. You know what I mean? In red zone, things tighten. I don't want to say tighten up. Things condense and they move a lot faster, and you got to move even faster.
Yeah.
So that's going to be fun to watch Cam Ward take that side of it, because that's an area of improvement that Josh Allen made significantly under Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, under Brian Dable.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah.
Where he managed to get him to still extend plays, still go off schedule when need be, and not take that stinger away, but harness the turnovers.
Yeah.
And on third downs, like that's what it's about. Look, man, I can't tell you there are a few things more disappointing to a defense than 3rd and 11. You got everything covered. The quarterback, he drops back, he scrambles, he runs back and forth. And then he attacks the line of scrimmage. He sees a lane, he runs 12 yards, steps out of the end zone, or excuse me, out of bounds.
Yeah.
It's first down. You did everything right. The quarterback just made a play.
Yep. And now you got to turn around and get ready for first down.
Yep. And you didn't even get to blast him to punish him
Yep.
for it. He just stepped out of bounds.
Yep. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Titans can do this year, especially in those late games. And you mentioned the 3 pillars of quarterbacking: third down, red zone, and 2-minute drill. That's going to be a lot of what is emphasized for Cam Ward this year, and we've heard that from Dable and Saleh. 615-737-1025. Continuing to get to your questions for TD. Get them in on our phone and text line. Again, 615-737-1025. Our phone line's driven by Wilson County Hyundai, online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Tomorrow on 1025 The Game, catch the Arena Crown Championship as the Nashville Cats take on the Albany Firebirds at F&M Bank Arena. Kickoff is at 3 p.m. and coverage begins with myself and Nick Frazier at 2:30, only on 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Nick Frazier, next man up, 1025 The Game.
Get on out of my business. Real deal Holyfield. Know how I feel. A small piece of some of that funky stuff. What? That's a classic.
We do have a music question coming up in a second.
Bring
here.
it. I've
been saving it. We'll hit a couple more Titans ones before we get to some of the off-topic questions. But it is your chance to talk to TD. 615-737-1025. Get your questions in. We will, at the very least, we got one more segment of it. We'll see how many we have. There are a few on here, and I don't want to ignore anybody. But there are some questions specifically about the defense that we are already going to hit on later in the show. Okay. So we will get to those later. Don't worry about it. Belvis, this is a defensive question, but I think it's a very interesting idea. Belvis from Houston. TD, James Williams is balling. Do you think he can play big nickel and be the Titans version of Nick Imenwori from the Seahawks? I mean, he's played linebacker, but obviously was a safety in college at Miami as well.
I love the question, Belvis. Great job with that one. I appreciate you asking that. And that is a very good question because you look at the size and when you consider, right, he was 240 last year. He lost 20 pounds. Hey, he's 220 in the 220s. I think he could play that position, but the problem that you get into is coverage, right?
Yeah.
Like you get him against one of the little shifty slot receivers, it's over.
Yeah.
Right? So I think he's more suited to play exactly where he is, and that's next to the mic, you know, at will, and doing those things. And you see him working in tandem. Like they got he and Anthony Hill on the field together.
Yeah.
Man, you talk about energy at the linebacker position. Fun to watch, you know. And
those guys have been so much fun, and they force turnovers, right? Like Cody Barton and Cedric Gray, good players, but it hasn't been the big impact plays. James Williams, I think, has forced a turnover on every day of camp so far.
Yeah, I mean, he has the most interceptions. He has 2, 3 forced fumbles. You know what I mean? It seems like Kyle Granson gets the football. His fist finds a way to it. You know, 2 times in a row, you've seen him do that. Yeah, the peanut punch. So, to answer your question, Belvis, no, but he still brings a lot of playmaking ability. The guy to me that is best suited to be that Nick Imenwori type of role is Kevin Winston Jr.
Yeah,
it's Kev. He's the one, but they like Marcus Harris in that role, where he is in that nickel spot.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much that. Winston, he told me, because I asked him again, I was like, they're definitely like, you're not doing anything nickel-wise, right? And he said, no. But he said, eventually, I do want to bring, like, for Winston, the comfort and zone and everything. And he even said, about last year, he was a little uncomfortable, but it's also playing both positions, right? Being forced to learn something on the fly like that. So, yeah, I like James Williams a lot. We'll talk about him a little bit more. I asked Gus Bradley, you know, the Telvin Smith comparison.
Yeah.
he was surprised I brought that name out, but, you know, that's who he reminds me of. And, in fact, what's so crazy is when I brought that to James Williams, he was like, yo, like, that's who I pattern my game after.
Yeah.
Converted safety to linebacker, but not nickel.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the right move to keep him at linebacker. But the linebacker depth in general looks strong. I mean, it does. And as you've talked about before, Anthony Hill, there's more that goes into it than just being able to go out there and do it. Like, he would have to be the green dot guy if he's going to play Mike over Cody Barton. And we talked to Cody earlier this week of he takes a lot of pride in the green dot, and he's done it for a while. I didn't even realize, and Cody told us this, that he played in this Sala system when he was in Seattle early on in his career.
Yeah.
So I think it does make sense for Cody Barton to start out as the green dot guy, as the Mike, and slowly work Anthony Hill in.
I tell you what, you know, Cody Barton, he stood out to me on one of the plays where he was able to run with Wan'Dale Robinson on one of those transcontinentals. You know what I mean? And he told me, because I asked him about it afterwards, he was like, man, like I looked up and I thought the safety was going to be there and he wasn't. So I said, I got to get on my horse. And he ran with him. And I was like, that's what you want to see, you know, from even a guy like Cody Barton, you know what I mean, who's not known for his ability to run with a receiver, especially. But he did it. The ball fell incomplete, and boom, boom, boom.
I do remember that play. I was like, man, Cody Barton has a little bit of the wheels going there. I was a little surprised to see him keeping up.
Yep.
3337 says, TD, if Tajay Spears stays healthy, how many catches does he get? I always thought they underutilized his ability in the receiving game, but he has to be available first.
Yeah, that's the key part. He has to be available. Kaharski, I did a good job unearthing how many screens he caught. I think he said 15 last year. That number needs to be more, and it's going to be more. I don't know if you caught the brief nugget. Luke Stocker is in charge of the screen game.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So in the past, it was Randy Jordan, and poor Randy Jordan last year, man.
Thrown under the bus.
Man, he got thrown under the bus and run over multiple times. You know what I mean? But, yeah, I think when you look at Tajay, and it's not just in the screen game, you're going to see him involved in the passing game in other ways. We can't really, hopefully they show a smidget of it, in the preseason games, right? So then we could talk about it, but they're going to take advantage of him. And then one of the other things also with Tajay, while we're talking about him, that I think is underrated, that dude is solid in pass pro.
Yeah.
He's real. I didn't know until one of our deputy editor, Roman Madarovsky, our deputy editor, he reached out to me about Tajay, and he was looking at the numbers. Tajay is one of the best blocking backs as far as picking up the blitz in the league. I never would have thought that. But, you look at him, and I asked him about it. He's like, man, nobody's touching my quarterback. I'm protecting Cam Ward. And I was like, I like that mindset.
That's great.
That's the one that you want to have.
Yeah, and you're right. I do hope we get to see some of the screen game in the preseason, but do have to be careful because if you remember that sprained ankle against Tampa Bay, it's a little screen pass out to Tajay Spears that ended up getting him hurt. Yep. That was so funny last year with Randy Jordan. Like, was it Nick Holds who said that, or Brian Callahan? It was just like going through all the responsibilities. And it's like, Randy Jordan's in charge of the screen game. Like, all right, so he is the one to blame for every screen going backwards so far this year.
Yeah.
God, that was funny. All right, here's our music question for you, TD. Ron asks, TD, UGK or 8-Ball and MJG, who is better or your favorite?
Oh, I'm going to have to go 8-Ball and MJD because they have a song called The Player Way with Mace. I used to bump that, man. Off of Mace's solo album. I used to kill that. So I'm gonna go with them.
Maybe we have to get that coming back at some point today, since Ron brought it up. We always like some of the off-topic questions for TD when we do this. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Big thanks to everybody who chimed in. If you have more questions, of course, we'll try and get to them throughout the rest of the show. We'll get back into the Titans coming up in a little bit, but I did want to highlight the Hall of Fame class that's going in tomorrow. A lot of names from the most recent era of NFL football: Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, Adam Vinatieri, and you want Roger Craig finally into the Hall of Fame. We'll talk about those guys. And also, ESPN put out an article yesterday about players who would be Hall of Famers if they retired today. I wanted to get TD's thoughts on some of the names on that list as well. We'll do that coming up next. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Nick Frazier, next man up. 102.5 The Game.
feel this way. Must be the money.
Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Nick Frazier. A Freaky Friday with TD in studio for the full show. Big thanks to everybody who chimed in during Talk to TD. Again, if you have other questions, we will get to those before the show wraps up. But the Hall of Fame game last night, lots of fun. Haynes King, Carson Beck dueling. With King reaching across the goal line to win it. The Hall of Fame induction ceremony tomorrow in Canton. This is a fun class. It really is. I mean, you've got some of the guys that I grew up with, Kuechly, Breeze, Fitzgerald. I mean, Luke Kuechly, one of the most fun linebackers that I ever watched growing up. I mean, we've talked before. Luke Kuechly and Patrick Willis retiring early is so disappointing because those guys were so much fun to watch on the football field.
Man, they were so much fun to watch. And I was looking at Deshaun Golson, who played safety for the 49ers back in those days. He was on a podcast. It was the one with TJ Ward, safety something, but they were talking about the best linebacker tandems.
Yeah.
And Deshaun was like, and TJ Ward said it too. They're like, it doesn't get better than Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis.
Yeah.
But I would say this: Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis is awfully close. That was man. The thing with Kuechly was, that dude was a brainiac. Who was it? They were saying how like this dude, like
he'd call out the play.
He'll call out the play.
Yeah, before
he'll see it, call out the play, and he's looking back at him like, you got, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? I Kuechly, and then to combine the athleticism that he played with, with the smarts. That's why he's a Hall of Famer.
Right. That's the story that every offensive player brings up when they talk about Luke Kuechly. Is he would literally call the play before they snapped it, and you sit up there and you're like, what are we supposed to do? He knows exactly what we're running. It's the opposite of it was the Panthers and the Packers, right? The Cam Newton and Clay Matthews. It's that wheel route. It's that wheel route. And Cam Newton goes, "Oh, you watch film. Watch this.
Watch this." Yeah.
And it was a little angle route to Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
That was great. So Kuechly, so much fun to watch. Drew Brees, of course, a Hall of Famer. I mean, one of the most accurate quarterbacks in NFL history, Super Bowl champion. Who knows? Maybe could have been a two-time Super Bowl champion if it wasn't for the pass interference call against the Rams. I don't know if they would have beaten the Patriots in the Super Bowl, but that Drew Brees, one of the great quarterbacks of our time, and excited to see him go in as well.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, you'd like to see him go in, and it is a great story, right? You look at his, just like, that man probably never has to pay for a thing in New Orleans. Nothing.
Ever.
Beignets, Mr. Breeze.
I mean, when you talk about New Orleans sports, like, he's the guy, right? Like, I mean, he is Mr. New Orleans, and it's the Drew Brees story is great too, because I mean, it's a guy that was given up on. The Chargers said, you know what, we're gonna go a different direction, and
Phillip Rivers, he hurt his,
right, and they let Drew Brees go to the Saints, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it's one of those rare stories where you have a split like that, but both parties are good.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Phillip Rivers and the Chargers, great shape.
Yep.
Drew Brees, he won a Super Bowl. I mean, he didn't have to run into the Brady machine, like Phillip Rivers.
That is true.
Remember that year? It was Phillip Rivers, Antonio Gates, LT was hurt. His knee was hurt. I thought maybe they would beat the Patriots, but it didn't happen because, LT was hurt. But, I mean, Drew Brees, even the story, right, of Sean Payton making the wrong turn.
Yeah.
Accidentally getting him. And that is what drew him to New Orleans.
Yeah.
That says a lot about Drew Brees as a man, too. You know what I mean? Like, I don't agree with we'll just leave it at that. There's some things with him that I don't agree with, but it's all good. I do like the way that he played football.
Yeah. And it is, you talk about the Chargers, like, they let Drew Brees go. Man, those Chargers teams were always fun to watch. They always had so much talent. They just, I mean, you're right. They had to run into the Brady and Manning machine every single year, and the Steelers when they were great. It's just like it was always tough for those teams, even when they had LT and Antonio Gates and Vincent Jackson and more recently Keenan Allen.
Man,
like
Vincent Jackson, rest in peace, man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's
Terrible.
crazy to think that he's gone. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like I always have to be reminded of that. But he was those Chargers days, the playoff run that he made. When they lost in the AFC Championship, I want to say he was unreal.
Yeah, and Malcolm Floyd playing special teams and catching bombs.
Yeah.
Boy, I used to kill people in Madden with him, boy. Put him in the slot, play action, streak route, man.
And talk about great wide receivers, Larry Fitzgerald going in. I mean, I will never forget. But it wasn't the first. I remembered Super Bowls before Cardinals Steelers. Like I remember the Seahawks Steelers with Hasselbeck and of course Giants Patriots. But man, that 2009 Super Bowl, Cardinals Steelers, one of the greatest games of all time from start to finish. The Harrison pick six, Fitzgerald putting them up with the bomb from Kurt Warner, not the bomb, but like
catching that
slant.
Boy, you know what he put on, right?
Gone.
He put his get somewhere shoes on, boy, because he was running. And
then, of course, the Santonio Holmes catch to win it. But like Larry Fitzgerald, one of the most consistent wide receivers of all time, and one of the most fun wide receivers to watch of my lifetime. I mean,
consistent.
I'll put Megatron above him. Like I loved watching Calvin Johnson play, Julio, but like Larry Fitzgerald, for my generation growing up, it didn't get much better than that.
Yeah, getting it done. And then when he got to Bruce Arians, and Bruce Arians asked him to play that Hines Ward role, and he was wrecking linebackers and safeties, man, I love to see it. It's funny. I remember back in the day, I used to call into Sirius Radio all the time. And Jerry Rice was hosting with Brian McGovern, late night, late hits, that show. And I called in and I argued Jerry Rice up and down about Anquan Bolden being better than Larry Fitzgerald. And he was like, no. Jerry Rice was right.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Anquan's
both really
great.
Good players. But, man, Fitzgerald is one of the best.
Anquan's great, but Larry Fitzgerald, well-deserving of his Hall of Fame honor. And then you mentioned Roger Craig. You've been advocating for him to be in for a long time, and it's good to see him get in. I'm glad that they do this where, the guys who their waiting period is up, they're going to get in pretty quickly here. But it's good to see Roger Craig, after a long wait, finally get in.
Man. The first 1,000 back.
I know.
You know what I mean? You talk about Marshall Faulk. You talk about Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
He's the one that blazed the trail for them. And, oh, by the way, the guy has 3 Super Bowl titles. Actually, 3, because he wasn't there for the 94 team. But 81, 84, 88, 89. He has 4.
Excuse me.
Let me not
all
short
of the
him
Montana
of a Super
ones,
Bowl.
right?
The Montana ones, right? And then he played fullback, right? Before Tom Rathman got there, he was a fullback. All right, give that man his props. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. There are very few all-around running backs better than Roger Craig. Now, there are just straight running backs. There's a list of about 30 of them better than Roger Craig. But when it comes to doing everything and picking up help in pass pro, Roger Craig deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, 1,000 back in the 80s, like that's unheard of. And then Marshall Faulk did it, of course, and McCaffrey, but it's a class of 3 guys who have ever done that before.
And Roger Craig's a Tecmo Bowl legend, you hear me?
Yeah.
I used to use the 49ers to hit pass 3. He run that circle route out of the backfield, boy. I'll tell you what, that's touchdown every time.
Yeah, those Niners. My dad, a Niners fan, I'm sure he's thrilled that Roger Craig getting in. And then the final inductee this weekend, Adam Vinatieri. Talked about class of 3, one of 3 kickers to get into the Hall of Fame.
Money.
Still the all-time leading point scorer in NFL history. So, congratulations to all 5 of them going in this weekend. That it's a special class. Like that's a great class of Hall of Famers being inducted tomorrow. ESPN yesterday put out an article of, all right, you look through all 32 teams, who are the future Hall of Famers? And they have 17 guys who are in right now if they retired today. I want to get your thoughts on a couple of them. Not saying that it's wrong and they wouldn't be Hall of Famers if they retired today, but I don't know if it's quite as cut and dry as this article makes it seem. We'll also talk about the Titans ones that are listed here. No one is listed as in, obviously, but there are a few listed of possibly on their way. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll take your thoughts on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Nick Frazier. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Nick Frazier. Talking about the Hall of Fame induction ceremony coming up tomorrow. Class of 5, Luke Kuechly, Larry Fitzgerald, Drew Brees, Adam Vinatieri, and Roger Craig, all going to be enshrined in Canton. Before we get into this article, Ron says Hines Ward deserves Hall of Fame, in my opinion. Is he not in there yet?
No, he's in that log jam, man. You got Hines Ward, Torrey Holt. I mean, my guy, Steve Smith. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Steve Smith Sr., he should be in the hopefully next year. That's something I'm gonna tell you how much of a fan I am of Steve Smith. When he goes in, I might just make that trip.
Really?
Yeah. I love Steve Smith Sr. Like, that is one of my favorite. Andre Reed, T.O. Steve Smith, like, those are my guys.
I do love Steve Smith.
Yeah.
Quickly on Steve Smith, you saw his comments on Calvin Ridley this week.
Yes, a speed merchant.
Speed merchant and can't run routes well. I always thought that he was viewed as like like AJ Brown talked about him as the best route runner in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Again, Steve Smith is a borderline Hall of Famer, so I'm gonna take his word for it if that's what he's seen. But from everybody else, it seems like Calvin Ridley is a very good route runner.
Everybody has their own opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But from what I've seen, and you know, the thing that he was harping on is that Ridley doesn't run the full route tree. And he said that that's something that came to light when he was in Jacksonville and the other guys went down and they tried to move him around. I don't know that is fully the case, though, because I know he had a nice long touchdown against the Titans out of the slot running that post route. And, you know, to me, yeah, you want to be able to run the complete route tree, but if you could run 3 to 4 routes and be unstoppable the way Ridley was at one point, so be it.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's true. And I guess maybe that's what it is he's very good at a couple of routes, but maybe can't run all of the routes the way that they need to be run. I don't know. But I thought that was interesting from Steve Smith this week. So ESPN put out players across the NFL that if they retired right now, would they be in the Hall of Fame? And they had 17 guys that they said would be in. We'll go through that list in a second, but we'll start with the Titans here. 2 players listed. Jeffrey Simmons listed as keep it up. So I don't know exactly. I think like keep it up and on the cusp are like just outside, and then in is the ones who could retire right now and still be in. I think Simmons, again, like not there yet by any means, but yeah, a few more All-Pro seasons, and if he ever ends up winning a Super Bowl, I think there is a path there for Jeffrey Simmons to be a Hall of Famer.
He needs to get that.
And then Peter Skoronski listed his work to do. It's so early for Peter Skoronski, but I definitely would agree that he has work to do to get there. So here is the group of players that ESPN believes is in. If they retired right now, they would be in the Hall of Fame. And I think a lot of these are pretty clear. So we'll go through this for the Rams. Devontae Adams, Myles Garrett, Matthew Stafford. I think yes. All 3 of those guys. Yeah. Adams, I think, would be the only one that maybe there's a question mark for. But if he gets the cherry on top of a Super Bowl this year, I think it's unquestionable.
And Aaron Donald might be added to that eventually too.
Yeah, I know. You see, he tried out for the Rams this week.
Yeah.
The 49ers, Mike Evans, Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams. Check. I feel pretty good about all 3 of those guys.
Yeah.
Mike Evans has the Super Bowl. He's been one of the most consistent wide receivers in the last decade. They also have George Kittle and Fred Warner on the cusp. I agree. They're probably right there. Kittle especially, I think, is pretty close. Continuing along in the in category of, again, players, if they retired right now, would they be in the Hall of Fame? Lots of teams that don't have any. For the Eagles, I'm sure you agree with this, Lane Johnson, Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
100%.
Big Lane, man. One of the best right tackles ever.
2-time Super Bowl champ. The Chiefs, this one feels pretty easy. Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes. Yep. All 3 of those. If they 3-time Super Bowl champs, if they retired right now, they would be in. Khalil Mack, I think probably.
Yeah.
The longevity has been impressive that he's still playing at this point. Hasn't been the high-level player that he was early on in his career with the Raiders and even when he was with the Bears, but still a very good player at his age.
Yeah, without a doubt.
There's 3 in here that and here's the first one. 3 in here that I'm a little iffy about. Quentin Nelson. Is he a Hall of Famer right now?
I think keep it up.
Right. That's kind of where I am. The excerpt here is Nelson is in the prestigious club of players to start their career with 8 consecutive Pro Bowl appearances. Every Hall eligible player to do that has been enshrined. So I get that. I agree. I think he needs to continue this. Will Quentin Nelson be a Hall of Famer by the end of his career? I think almost certainly yes. Is he, if he hung the cleats up right now, I think there would be a question mark there.
Yeah, I don't know that right now. No, I don't know.
For the Ravens, Derrick Henry, Hall of Famer. Yes. Going to retire with the Ravens. The Kay Adams clickbait quote from the other day. Here's one. So the last two that I have somewhat question marks with. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. If they retired right now, are they Hall of Famers?
All right. Hear me out. Yes.
I think yes. But the quarterbacks are judged so much on Super Bowls, and neither of them have played in one yet.
But I think if you put them in, you got to put Cam Newton in. Here's my reason being. If you put Josh Allen in, you got to put Cam Newton in. Because I think those two revolutionized the quarterback position. They were the first quarterbacks, to me, that were the focal point, the feature of the run game. If it's third and short, fourth and short, QB power all the way. Both of them.
Yeah.
And then they also figured out how to pass the ball pretty well.
Yeah.
Lamar, just the ultimate weapon. That season, he won the MVP a couple years ago. I don't think there's been a better season by a quarterback just across the board.
Yeah.
So you got to put Lamar in there.
I think they will be in two-time MVP, right? Like that's hard to say, yeah, you're not a Hall of Famer when you were the best player in the league twice.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I know quarterbacks are judged so much based on, did you win the Super Bowl? And for them not having played in one yet, I do think that maybe you would poke a hole in the resume there, but I agree with you. I think I would lean in, even though if it may not be locked in right now. And again, this is if they retired right now. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen still have plenty of years to play. The other two listed, both Steelers, Aaron Rodgers, TJ Watt. I think pretty easy to say yes on both those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a pretty good list. 17 guys that are in. If they retired today, there are a couple of guys that I think they have as on the cusp that I'm like, man, they probably would be in there, or at least it would be a conversation. Like, how about Jalen Ramsey? Like, do you think he ends up being a Hall of Famer?
No.
They have him as on the cusp. Like I agree. I think probably no, but is a Super Bowl champion, had been one of the best cornerbacks in the league for probably a 6 or 7 year stretch. But yeah, I would probably lean no right now. Danielle Hunter, they have as on the cusp. I would probably lean no right now. Let's see. Who are some others who are close?
It took Kevin Green a while to get in, and Kevin Green has all those. Like, come on, we gotta stop and look at this.
Right. I do think that you have to. It's hard to compare eras, but I think there may be some of these guys that we're talking about right now who end up being Hall of Famers, but it may just take a little while, right? Like you got to let their work marinate a little bit. But but they've got 17 guys in, and I agree with all of them except for Quentin Nelson. I think the other 16 guys, if they hung them up today, probably would make the Hall of Fame. Quentin Nelson, I understand what they're saying of the 8 straight Pro Bowls, and everyone who's done that has made the Hall of Fame, and he probably will make it. But those guys didn't only play 8 years, right? They continued to play on beyond that. I think you do need to see more from Quentin Nelson, more longevity for him to be a surefire Hall of Famer.
Yeah, exactly. I think offensive line is always tough, right? It's always tough. Especially the guard position.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's like you're tucked away a little bit more,
right?
Even more than the centers, or excuse me, than the tackles, right?
Yeah.
And then center, I mean, the next center to me is probably Jason Kelce, Hall of Fame conversation. But I mean, those positions, that guard and center, it's tough to gauge it,
right?
And
there's no so stats that you can look at, right?
And it's so highly opinionated,
right?
You know what I mean? So that's a tough one. But because Quentin Nelson is so popular, with media and fans.
Yeah.
I could see him going.
I think he will get in. I just think if they're saying he's in right now, I don't know if I can agree with that. Like, yes, let him play 2 or 3 more Pro Bowl years, and sure, yeah, probably if he hung him up, he'd be in. But just because of that stat of players to start with 8 straight Pro Bowls have all gotten in. Well, those guys didn't only play 8 years. Like, they had more longevity to their career. And I think as a guard, longevity is a large part of it. Like, how long can you continue to play at that high level?
Right.
And so I think he does get in. I don't know if I would say he's in right now, no matter what.
Right.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Back into the Titans after this as we start hour number 3. We talked a lot of offense in the first hour. We're going to talk some defense coming up. We've talked about James Williams, who are some other standouts on the defensive side of the football. We'll also talk about Robert Saleh and the leadership he showed on Tuesday, breaking up the scuffle and sending Jeffrey Simmons to the side field. All of that coming up in our final hour on this TD Friday, this Freaky Friday. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Nick Frazier, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Final hour on this Freaky Friday with Turron, Davenport, Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier with you as well, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly BI membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Plenty of Titans talk as the Titans get ready for their stadium scrimmage tonight out at Nissan Stadium. I believe 6:30 is when things get going over there.
Yeah,
So,
gates open at 5. So,
yep, gates open at 5, 6:30 they get started. Should be a fun night out there to showcase the Titans, who are about a week and a half into camp, heading to Santa Clara next week for joint practices with the 49ers. I wanted to talk about Robert Saleh quickly before we dive into some of the defensive players making headlines. Tuesday, opportunity struck for Robert Saleh. It was the 4th or 5th play of team drills, and Jeffrey Simmons gets into it with Austin Schlottman. J.C. Latham comes in. It's a big scrum in the middle of the field. And so Jeffrey Simmons is sent off. The next play, was it Alec Iamaner and Marcus Harris were getting into it? The very next play, Robert Saleh stops practice, gathers everybody together, and puts his foot down. He draws the line. And since then, you see a couple of skirmishes here and there, but outside of that, it's been really clean. Tuesday, Thursday. I like to see that from Robert Saleh. He set an example. He stopped practice. He sent the best player on your roster off for the rest of the day. It's what you want to see when building this culture and showing leadership for Robert Saleh.
Yeah, that part of it was really important. And that was a brief test, right? And he showed, and I think that's an experience thing too. He's been there and done that as far as a head coach.
Yeah.
So, and he's been able to format, okay, this is how I'm gonna handle that. And I like what he did, right? Because across the league, there are some veterans who, if they don't feel like practicing, they won't get into a fight. So they could go inside and chill out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You're not going inside if you throw a punch with Robert Saleh.
Nope.
You're going to go to the side. You're still going to get your work in, but it's going to be a more, because it's just you. So you got to go, quick break, go again. Like, you're not going to get the, okay, 3 plays, chill out. Like, you're in your own practice. So it is a punishment over there. And I do like what he did. It was smart. And, it's funny. Like, if I was a coach, like, I would be like, hey, man, look, go ahead and get into a little rumble. Like, you're going to be fine. Just get into a little rumble. I need to set an example.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I would go to my best player and tell him that. And just tell him, look, man, just understand, like, I'm setting an example. It's nothing personal.
Yeah.
But you gotta be my pawn in this case. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that's what happened here, but it worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
Your best player, known for what the outbursts at times, does this. You handle it right away in that way. Now the rest of the team knows, because I know if I'm Colin Saunders and I see that, I'm like, I ain't throwing a punch.
Right.
Like, I'm not. Jeffrey Simmons got thrown off.
He threw 98 out. What's he going to do to me?
I mess around and get cut. You know what I mean? So it's an example that's been set.
Right. And you're right. Jeffrey Simmons, I was keeping an eye on him on Tuesday. He was getting his work in for sure after he was removed from practice. I mentioned it too. Like, J.C. Latham came flying in. He knocked Big Jeff on his butt there. Like, that
was Tanzel Smart did.
He
didn't knock him on his butt, but like, as soon as, like, when he swung on JC pushed him, and Tanzel Smart.
Gotcha.
I could see how it looked.
It looked like JC Latham.
Yeah,
but
Tanzel Smart kind of just like drove him down.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that was more like to keep him, hey, big fella, we can't have you. Mix, you know what I mean?
No, okay.
Yeah.
That I was gonna say, I was like, JC needs to do a little more of that between the lines.
Yeah,
the pancake blocks.
Hey,
there.
listen, if there's those two, man. It's funny to watch, man, because like Jeff, he picks at JC Latham, like he picks at him, and I know it's one of those things where it's like
he's trying to get the best at him.
Yeah, I had an older friend, and his name was Buddha. That dude, he would always pick at me and fight me, but he was trying to make me tougher.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and that's really
right
the way I see the J.C. Latham and Jefferson.
There's been some of the stupid takes on this of, Jeff and J.C. hate each other, and like they're going after each other all the time, and like, is there a rift in the locker room? It's like, No, these guys, Jeff Simmons knows that J.C. Latham is really important to this team, and he's going to push him to be the best guy that he can be.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes that might not be received in the best way or may not be communicated in the best way, and it leads to some pushing and shoving. But in the end, they're all on the same team. They're all trying to get better, and I think that's what Jeffrey Simmons is trying to do.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is just trying to get him better. And, like he said on the pivot, he said, yeah, we might rumble in practice or whatever, but like on Sundays, those are my brothers, and I got their back. So I guarantee you, J.C. Latham gets involved with it with somebody, Jeff's going to go out there and, you know what I mean, be there for his teammate.
Well, and that skirmish wasn't even JC and Jeff that started. It was Schlotman and Jeff who got into it. So it was just Jeff or JC defending his guy on the offensive line. And we talked about this before, TD, but moments like that, second day in pads, tensions boil over sometimes. And I do think that's why the joint practice schedule that Saleh has come up with is perfect, because you're getting 1 day of work with all three teams. You're getting a variety of different looks against different talent. And you're not having those second days where sometimes you devolve into chaos a little bit and you don't get the work in that you think is necessary.
Yeah, I think that's key, to be able to get that work in. And, hopefully there aren't any fights. Trent Williams, I don't know, man. There's a good chance that somebody's going to get into it with him. I hope it's not Jeffrey Simmons, because I feel bad for whoever has to break that up.
Yeah.
Two monsters squabbling. I would hate to have that, but I do look forward to seeing those two teams get to work. And I mean, you look at Seattle, when Seattle comes in the following week, that's going to be a huge test, because
Super Bowl champs.
And even though Pete Carroll's not there, that mindset of competition is still. Mike McDonald went in and picked that right up. And I mean, you understand that you practice against those guys, like, you gotta bring it. You know what I mean? You saw when they came in here a couple years ago, it wasn't pretty.
Yeah.
And then you got the Bears, right? And I mean, that's another team,
up and coming team,
looking to prove themselves. So these are three very nicely scheduled opponents.
Yep.
Now I know the substation is something that's bringing up a lot of attention. And right now, the 49ers got 20 guys that are down. They had to cancel practice a few years ago because they had 25 guys down.
Yeah.
So we're going to see, hopefully
they
they'll
can
be
get
able
it
to
in.
still go. Like, the next couple of days, hopefully they don't have anybody else go down or some guys coming back,
Ed on the text line, and he's not the only one. We've had a couple of people concerned about your health being out there near the substation. Ed says, tell TD to watch out for his hammies next week.
I'm going to be good, man. I spent some time out there for a couple of years in 2010, 11, and 12. So
okay.
I'm good.
So you're used to the electromagnetic radiation.
Yeah, my body has built up the resistance.
It is a conspiracy theory. Again, John Lynch has said it's a nothing burger, and they brought in an independent scientist. But if it keeps happening year over year, there's something going on,
it's
right?
An anonymous scientist. It's like these league polls, like random executive says, "Hey, Jeffrey Simmons is the worst D tackle in the league." Well, who said it? I can't tell you.
Can't tell you. It's anonymous.
Who said it? Hey, mind your business, man.
I mean, obviously, it's in the 49ers' best interest financially to not have to deal with it, because that's going to cost a lot of money, whether it's moving your practice facility or moving the substation. Like, it's going to cost a lot of money to figure that out.
Yeah.
So, but man, year over year, the amount of injuries in San Francisco is just alarming.
Yeah, and I mean, it's been that way for quite some, there was a period where, I remember when Mike Singletary was there, everything was, they used to have a segment. I remember during camp, they had a segment called the damn Nutcracker. And it was just the whole team, individual Oklahoma drills. Like it would be, I remember it was Isaac Sopoaga, and who was the center? I forget his name. He got hurt. He was a good center. Then he got hurt
for the 49ers.
Yeah, his neck got messed up. So then they had to get Jonathan Godwin. I forget his name, but his neck got messed up, and he wanted to take out a suit against the 49ers for that. So I say all that to say, it's not always the substation as much as sometimes it's just old school coaching that doesn't apply to the modern athlete.
Eric
Yeah.
Heitman.
It wasn't Heitman. It was,
What year was this?
I want to say 09.
09. Let's see. So that was the last year of Singletary.
Or it was 80. It was 08.
It says here online, TD, it says he suffered a ruptured disc and stingers originally linked to a physical, quote, nutcracker drill.
Okay, so
from
it was
his
Heitman.
okay.
It was
practice.
Heitman then. Pardon me. It was Heitman. Yep.
Yeah, it's good that they can't do those drills anymore.
Yeah.
That's just an easy way to get hurt. And the 49ers, again, I said it with I think it was with Corey or Parker this week, of like when the Titans had those 2 years in a row where everybody was hurt. It can be a coincidence of just hey, you had 2 bad luck years in a row, but this is like going on 5 years, 7 years where the Niners are just always one of the most injured teams in the league. So
Yeah.
but we will see. Fingers crossed that no players nor reporters come back with injuries from Santa Clara next week. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Let's talk some pass rush on the other side. Jacob Martin has been TD's guy throughout the offseason heading into training camp. He spoke yesterday. We'll get TD's thoughts on what he's seen from Martin and some of the young guys on the edge. Femi, Keldrick, Falk, what have they looked like through the first week in pads? Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Nick Frazier, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Nick Frazier. We got a few more segments with you on this Friday morning. Titans, 3 padded practices in. Nissan Stadium scrimmage tonight. Should be fun. TD said they're looking about 90 plays. Going to be a scoring system on both sides. So excited for that. I wanted to get your thoughts, TD, on some of the pass rushers out there at Titans camp. Let's start with Jacob Martin. I know he's been your guy, a guy that they brought in kind of in that second wave of free agency. He's been a journeyman who's had some success, most recently in Washington. He spoke to the media yesterday. What have your thoughts been on Jacob Martin as he started his first training camp here in Nashville?
I love the veteran role that he's playing, to Slater, to Falk, and just being there before practice, working on some of the technique is interesting. I posted a video of that, and one of these like online D-line coaches boosted the video, and he was talking about Falk doing work and what he was doing as far as the steps and just kind of like turning the corner and so on and so speak. And he was like, and this other guy, and I'm like, give that other guy is a proven veteran in the league. His name is Jacob Martin. Like, show some respect, but he is always out there before practice working with these younger guys. And look, man, like in Falk's case, like that's someone who's going to take reps away from him.
Yeah.
But he's still helping them. Femi Oladejo is someone that's going to take reps away from him, but you still see Jacob Martin working with him in between reps during individual period, during team period, etc. That part of it is invaluable, and it's pretty cool just seeing how the younger guys are taking that guidance. Off the edge and getting in there. Like, he's gotten some pressures. And I think when you have a veteran like that, now look, he's not going to give you TJ Watt type of production, so let's be straight about it. But having him among other guys just to keep sending in waves and waves and waves, I think is really good because it keeps everybody fresh. And when you don't have that one guy that you could just rely upon coming off the edge, if you have a bunch that could get you 5.5 to 8 sacks, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, and I like the way he talked about the Robert Saleh style for the defensive front. Like, you're so aggressive, you might fall over, and that's why he works on the footwork so much. I love did we talk about this last week of Robert Saleh saying if he decided to drop a defensive end back into coverage, Aaron White-Cotton might blow up the building?
Yeah, like the reason being is because, like, I'm like, how much does not having to drop into coverage and read so many keys help a guy like Femi Oladejo? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he took an opportunity to crack the joke.
Femi, I actually thought, and Corey and I kind of disagreed based on what we saw. Corey watched Femi a lot in the one-on-ones and said that he struggled a little bit over there. I thought on Tuesday in the 11-on-11 drills, I thought Femi flashed multiple times, including what would have been a sack on Mitch Trubisky, but he forced the interception that ended practice. I was pleasantly surprised on what I've seen from Femi so far in the team drills.
Because you know why the interception was forced. You know why it happened.
He hit his helmet.
He hit his hand on the helmet of the guy that Femi beat. You know what I mean? So that's a good thing. And that's one of those things that, okay, you impacted the quarterback. It doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but you did your job.
It would have been a sack. Like, I was watching, I was like, Femi pulled up. He would have lit up Mitch Trubisky in a real game. But, obviously can't hit the quarterback. So, but yeah, I mean, look, it's just the work in progress. That's what Femi is. Now, I don't know like what type of production he's going to give you. Yeah.
I do know that I've seen a guy with a lot of talent, pure strength, that was confused, having to do so many different things, suddenly become an outstanding player when he's asked to rush the quarterback and just go get the quarterback or go get the football.
Yeah.
Right? See ball, get ball. You know how the saying goes? Well, Brandon Graham in 2016 became a much better player when he was able to just do that.
Yeah, and with Femi, the one thing Corey did say that I agree with on Wednesday is I do think he needs to expand his toolbox of pass rush moves. I think on Tuesday, yes, he was having some success, but it was all kind of just bull rush. I'm going to use my strength to push you back into the pot and collapse the pocket on the quarterback, which is great. But I do think he needs to add more counters off of that, which will be a process as he continues to develop.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And it's just, as you said, a process. I wouldn't expect 10 sacks at 7 to 8 this year. Hey,
That'd
that's doing something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Especially at 0 last year in 6 games. You'd love to see Femi be a productive player in this pass rush. And you mentioned Keldrick Falk, a rookie, again, a young guy. He's 21 years old. There's a lot of growth that's still to come. But what have you liked from Keldrick Falk? What do you think maybe is leaving something to be desired as he starts his first training camp?
I like the get off and how he's firing off the ball, staying low. You know, that's hard for a 6'6" guy. You know what I mean? He's definitely made some improvements in that way. You would like to see a little bit more pressure, but he's getting back there at times. And I think he's another one, just a work in progress, and we'll see what happens. But I just really like the way he's taking the coaching. I like you see the improvement too. Just thinking about some of the drills, even in OTAs and minicamp we saw before practice. You know, as far as them putting a little hurdle right there, and him like getting down and like they'll have them get down in their 4-point stance, right? And kind of have so if they're coming from the right, they'll have that right leg cocked up, and it's teaching them to like really get off the ball. But in getting off,
stay low.
You're staying low, but you got to get that drive to where it's over the hurdle. The hurdle's maybe like, about as high as a laptop, sitting straight up.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? As far as like, you're sitting at your laptop and you got the screen
right
like that. And they got to get off the ball with that leg and kick it forward and not kick the hurdle.
Yeah.
And then that next step, you know what I mean? And then you're seeing them do some things like taking a tennis ball and then bouncing it behind them, and they got to get off and go get it. And so you're seeing that make his pad level lower.
Yeah.
And when it's just fun. Like, I get fascinated with these technique drills and seeing how these guys take it and apply it to game-like situations. Right? That's all you could do is a game-like situation right now. But you're seeing those things from Keldrick Falk just being applied and working for him.
And that's why you say, if you're going out to the scrimmage tonight, find Aaron White,
go find him,
and go sit near that group of the defensive line, because they bring energy. And like you said, there's some cool things that you're going to see of how they get these guys prepared and doing the right technique to have success once you get to games.
Man, he has a whole bag of goodies to, you know what I mean? You got the football and the stick, of course, which we all love. Then you got the tennis balls. He has this other thing too, because I was asking him about it, where it's like it's almost like a medicine ball with handles on it.
Okay.
And he'll take it and he'll throw it forward at them when they get off. So they not only do they have to get off quick, but they got to be ready with their hands, boom, to catch it. You know what I mean? Like he's got a nice bag of tricks over there to work with. It's fun to watch those guys.
615-737-1025 is the phone number, our phone and text line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai, online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Trevor on the text line asking, have you guys watched the mic'd up videos the Titans have put out? Really enjoyed the Dable, Brasillo, and White Cotton ones. Yeah, the Aaron White Cotton one was fun to watch. All of them have been good. I think this coaching staff has shown that it's a likable group so far.
They're very likable. I think that's a great thing. But they're not only likable, but they're enforcers.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. There's no games being played. We haven't got. I didn't get to see the linebackers as much because it's kind of on a different field.
Yeah,
but, I mean, Marquand Emmanuel, so informative. Tony Oden, so informative. And those guys are like the cool uncles, right? The cool unks. You don't want to disappoint them. You know what I mean? They don't really got to scream on you like that. They'll do it when they need to.
Yeah.
But they don't really have to.
Just got to give you the look.
And it's just like, dang. Let me get right. You know what I mean?
And the linebackers have flashed. I know there was some questions about Dave Borgonzi being the hire there. And let's see what happens when you get to games. But the linebackers have been one of the more impressive groups so far during training.
Yeah, I mean, all four of them. You know, Cedric Gray has had his moments. You know what I mean? I think you look at as you mentioned, Anthony Hill Jr., he's playing just Mike. And so it's funny because, like, they said that, right? And then, like, you'll hear Austin Slopeman or Cam Ward be like, hey, 53 is the Mike. No, duh.
Yeah.
They said he's only playing
They told
Mike,
you
so,
he's not playing anywhere else.
Yeah. But it just is funny. But, yeah, I mean, those guys, and even the rookie, 48, Sean James, I want to say his name is.
Yes.
He had a couple. As a matter of fact, if you look at Cedric Gray, his mic'd up, he was like, good hit, 48.
Yeah.
Man, he blasted one of the running back. He was on the right side, came in and blast. I want to say it was Khalil. It might have been Michael Carter, but it was he blasted somebody.
Yeah, the linebacking group has been great so far. Again, the second string guys, Hill and Williams, have basically gotten a turnover a day so far throughout the padded practices. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll take your thoughts on our phone and text line. We got a couple more segments left with TED. We'll continue talking Titans when we come back. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Nick Frazier, next man up. 1025 The Game. Yeah, I think the same time, so 2:30 pregame. Yeah, I'll probably leave my place around noon. So get there. Right. Yeah, you got Bigsby now as your co-host. That was fun. Right. Yeah, you guys have been doing that show together with me too, but like for 3 years now. So yeah.
Tennessee weather isn't slowing down, and outages can disrupt everything.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
Can do. It's not just inconvenient, it's disruptive. That's why I trust Tri-State Water Power and Air and Kohler generators. Tri-State makes it easy to get free on-site assessment, professional installation, and service you can count on. And with Kohler, your generator system is built around your home's needs. So don't wait for the next outage. Get prepared with a Kohler generator from Tri-State today. So visit
They're the ones who are out there. Let them check it out.
A new tradition begins for Nashville. It's the kickoff game. This year on Sunday evening, September 6th, the Louisville Cardinals will take on the Ole Miss Rebels.
Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Nick Frazier with you. Freaky Friday here on the program. TD joining us for the full show. Lots of Titans talk today. Pads have been on for the past 3 practices. Nissan Stadium scrimmage tonight. Gunner on the text line says, TD, how involved has Saleh been with both sides of the ball? Defensively, is he letting Bradley kind of do his thing, or does he have his hands in there a lot too? Well, Saleh's calling the plays.
Yeah.
But how involved do you think he's been with talking on the offensive side as well?
Well, one of the things that he always mentions is dropping in on the offensive meetings, whenever asked about whatever is going on the offensive side of the ball. So behind the scenes, it seems like there's involvement. I mean, look, he's calling the defense, so it's not like he's going over there and say, "Hey, do this, do that." But
Yeah.
I think it's more behind the scenes where you're seeing the involvement.
Well, and I like the way that he talked too about the way they structure the practices of that first team period. They're communicating. They're working together to make sure that the offense is seeing what it needs to see, the defense is seeing it what it needs to see, and then you have the call it periods later on in the practice as well. But I think that does allow Robert Saleh to understand what the offensive side of the ball is doing, even if he's letting Brian Daboll kind of run the show over.
Yeah, and that's important, right? I think it's critical. You got to allow the guy that you empowered to do his thing.
Yeah.
Right. And that's good leadership, being willing to take that step aside and allow them to do what they do best. And that's what you're seeing. But to your point, you have the scripted, so to speak, period, to give each other the looks necessary. And then it's call it. And I like the call it periods because that's more natural. And it's just like, okay, let's see how they react to this. Okay, they reacted to this that way. Let's counter with this. And now you're getting into the more strategy and just, a more game-like situation.
Yeah. I mean, you're still getting good work in those scripted periods, but yeah, you're right. It is more of a sterile environment of like, all right, the defense needs to see what this looks like against this coverage, and the offense needs to be able to attack this with this play. So I do like when we get to the end of practice with the call-it periods. Rick on the text line earlier said, we are not getting enough in-depth coverage of Brian Daboll and Cam Ward in the offense. Thank you for your attention to this matter. We talked a lot of offense in the first hour, but with the Brian Daboll, Cam Ward dynamic, I do think that has been a real positive so far. You see when the second and third team offenses are out there, Cam Ward is always over next to Daboll, talking to him, working through some stuff. And Cam Ward said yesterday in his NFL Network interview, he said, me and Brian Daboll are the same guy. And I think that partnership seems like it's been a success so far. Obviously, long way to go. You're still only a week into training camp, but overall, it seems like that's gone well.
Yeah. And look, you want to have the healthy dispute, right? And the fact that they are the same guy, that means neither one is going to back down from the other.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. And typically, when you have conflict, there's a better understanding, a better result that comes out of that. So it's good, and you see them talk a lot. Like I know the interceptions after that period, they walked over together to the other field, why it shifted. I think it was to special teams, but Daboll was walking with Cam Ward and talking to him, and you could tell they were kind of ironing the things out, so those are all positive. I mean, we're not going to be able to give you like every single interaction that they have because it's, we're just not supposed to say relay what they're saying, but rest assured the conversation is being had.
Yeah. And Brian Daboll said after those interceptions, he said lesson learned on those. And I think we did see that. We talked about it earlier, that he had the option to make a similar type play yesterday and elected to just take what the defense was giving him.
Yeah.
Overall for this Titans team, again, I know it's only 3 padded practices in, but I think we all kind of go into camp with some level of expectations, and it's hard to get a real gauge when you're not going against another team.
Yeah.
But have you been impressed kind of about what you expected, disappointed? What's been kind of your overall takeaways from the first week and a half of camp? Do you think this team is looking better than you expected or about the same?
No, it's about the same.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting anything spectacular.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting anything catastrophic, right? And I think this time of the year, you got to understand, like it's the time to iron out the kinks. It's the time to get things straight. You're going to have an occasional, oh, wow, like the Carnell Tate catch, or the Bellinger throw. But you're also going to have the occasional, like, oh, come on, man. like the Amani Hooker interception.
Yeah.
So it's given me exactly what I expected. Now I want to see what happens in these joint practice next week and in the following weeks as well as the games. The games, that's going to be opportunities for your Bryce Olivers, for your Nicholas Singletons, who we're not talking about enough. But that dude, to be that big and move the way, I can't wait to see him in the preseason.
Yeah,
game.
the running backs have been pretty impressive so far. I mean, I think you're getting what you expect out of Pollard. Spears has had some nice moments. But, yeah, Singleton and Khalil Mullings have both had some nice moments on the practice field too.
Yeah, without a doubt. They've had nice moments. And, I mean, Julius Chestnut as well, man. Like, they weren't blowing the whistle on contact. They were letting these guys run through it. And, man, he was running through contact that one day. I want to say Tuesday.
Yeah, the overall, it's tough. As we were saying, like when it's your offense versus your defense, you can't really tell, are you good or is the offense bad or vice versa. I think the joint practice will be that first benchmark on Tuesday to see, all right, has this team taken a step forward early in training camp to be competitive with a team like that, even if the 49ers are a little more injured than most teams.
I hate that it's just one practice though, because, typically what I like to do is like, okay, I'll watch offense this day. I'll watch defense. Man, you just got to figure it out.
Right.
Figure
Split
it out.
time.
Yeah.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Last call for phones if you have any questions for TD. Again, next week, probably going to be pretty tough to get TD in here because he'll be in California for most of the week. So if you got any questions about joint practices, preseason game, all that kind of stuff, get those in now. We will wrap up the show after this. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Nick Frazier, next man up. 1-2-5 the game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Nick Frazier finishing the show on this Freaky Friday. I need to go back and watch the stream for last Thursday when you came up for the one segment at training camp, and you were getting after it, getting ready.
Good. I gotta have a little fun.
He played the early Dreams and Nightmares at 9:15 when TD joined us. So that was great. We got one more segment with you. Again, get your questions in, thoughts on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. We got good news. Paul Kuharski reporting about 20 minutes ago, Alec Iamaner's shoulder checked out and is good to go.
Good.
So back-to-back days with good injury news. You know, the concern about Dan Moore leaving practice early on Tuesday, concern about Alec Iamaner yesterday. Always good to see when those guys don't have to miss any time, especially for a guy like Iamaner who has really shown out during camp, and you want to see him continue to get those opportunities.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You want to see him be all right and continue to pick up on the momentum that he's created. So that's a good thing.
So we are now 6 practices into camp. Nissan Stadium scrimmage tonight, one more on Sunday, and then you get into joint practice on Tuesday in San Francisco. I know you were talking about you wish there were 2 days so you could watch offense, defense, but given this matchup against the 49ers, first chance to go against another team this year, where are the matchups? Where are the position groups that you'll be focused in that practice, whether it's the wide receivers, the DBs, the linebackers? What are you going to be focused on Tuesday in Santa Clara?
Yeah, definitely O-line, D-line. That's going to be something to watch. Obviously, Trent Williams, Jeffrey Simmons, Franklin Myers, etc. I don't know how much work McCaffrey's going to do.
Yeah.
But I think if they do get into a one-on-one period and, you get to see the guys go against McCaffrey, I think that's going to be a good gauge. Those are the two mainly. Obviously, Deebo Samuel's there. He's not the same as he used to be.
Yeah.
So I don't know about the DBs and receivers. I do like well, we'll see how they do one-on-one. So that remains to be seen. But mainly it's going to be O-line, D-line for me. That's going to be what I'm looking at on both sides.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because you look at, Nick Bosa against either Dan Moore, JC
dealing
Latham.
with something, but
When is he not dealing with something?
Yeah. All those guys, the Bosa brothers, man, like they're very tightly wound athletes.
I did see Joey Bosa. He's still out there as a free agent. Atlanta, maybe a possible landing spot with Jalen Walker getting hurt this week. The injuries around training camp have been tough so far this year. Like maybe it's just you don't really remember how many there are in a given year, but it does feel like there's been more season-ending injuries throughout the first few weeks of training camp.
Yeah, look, the first day you had Nick Skelton.
Right. They lost Chris Brazzell for the season too, the rookie out of Tennessee. Walker. There was one other big one that I'm blanking on. There's been a couple of scares where it Shamar Stewart in Cincy, everybody kind of thought that he had a serious knee injury and ended up just being hyperextended. So, but it's always tough to see these guys early in training camp end up getting hurt. And the 49ers have been the king of that so far this year with 20 guys not practicing. And then the preseason game coming up on Thursday, I would guess, again, not knowing specifically what Robert Saleh's plan is, I would guess the first teamers play a drive or two. Like, I don't think it's going to be a ton, but that's a big opportunity for guys at the back end of the roster. I think the biggest opportunity for the preseason this year is Will Levis. Like, he's got an opportunity to go show himself off to the other 31 teams, and he's going to I've said this before, TD, like, do you think that Trubisky's going to play a ton in the preseason? Like, I would guess he's going to get some run, but second half of games is probably going to be almost exclusively Will Levis. It's an opportunity for him to go show himself off and see if he can raise his value.
Yeah, it is an opportunity. And I wonder how they're going to do that preseason game rotation, because, from what we've seen, Hendon Hooker, I only saw him on the field that first day,
right, when
training
Trubisky
camp,
was
when
out.
Trubisky had the tightness, so can you put him out there, with him? Maybe, he's I don't even know if he's getting the walkthrough reps, right? So
right.
That'll be tough to get him out there and expect him to do anything, not repping it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I would imagine you're going to see a lot of Mr. Trubisky because he has to get his work. And again, like you said, they want to showcase Levis as well.
Yep. So I think that's one of the bigger storylines to watch throughout the preseason. Speaking of the backup quarterbacks, let's go to our phone lines. James in Ashland City has a question about the QBs. James, thanks for calling. Good morning.
Always good to talk to you. Typically, I'm talking to you in the afternoons, but I just you guys kind of pretty much touched on what I was going to ask. Turron, I know it's not been much practice, but I was going to ask you, of the three backups, who do you think is looking the best? And do you think there's any place on this roster? Granted, I'm a Vols fan, so I'm a little bit of a homer. I'll admit that. And I never got a chance to see him get a chance in Detroit. I don't know what he's capable of doing, but I can't imagine that Mitchell Trubisky, which I've seen plenty of in Chicago and Pittsburgh, I can't imagine, and then you correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't imagine Mitchell Trubisky being a better quarterback than Hendon Hooker. I just want to know what your thoughts are. Do you think he'll get at least a practice squad spot here, or is it just too soon to say? And I'll hang up and listen, and thanks for the opportunity. Have a great, blessed day, guys.
Thanks for the call, James.
Yeah, I appreciate the call, James. I would say this, Trubisky to me is more valuable just from a support role and being that veteran, well-versed in the offense for Cam Ward when Cam Ward comes off of the field. I think that's more or less what this backup role is for, at least in this case. And then also Hendon Hooker, I would imagine practice squad at best. He's just simply not getting reps,
Right.
So I'm not going to say Trubisky's a better quarterback. I'll say he's better for what this team wants out of their backup. And then if you had to pick, out of the three, I mean, Hooker's automatically eliminated because we only saw him, for a few series. And I think Trubisky has looked better than Will Levis. Neither one of them have looked spectacular. There's no competition for the job as far as the starter, as we know. But
Right.
The backup situation, I think it's going to be Trubisky, and that's pretty much it.
Trubisky being a veteran and having experience in the Dable offense, like that's the big thing. He had a really bad day on Tuesday. Trubisky did, but outside of that, I mean, I think he's looked fine. Will Levis has been his usual self. It's up and down. There are some really great plays from Levis. There are some really bad plays from Levis. And yeah, I mean, Hendon Hooker, I know Vols fans love him. Again, I watched him play at Virginia Tech. I like Hendon Hooker, but they're showing you what they think of Hendon Hooker by how they're using him in practice. He is not getting snaps. He's out there doing drills and he's standing there. And I will give Hendon Hooker credit. I see him working after practice every single day. Like the dude is putting in the effort, but they're telling you what they think of Hendon Hooker based on how they're using him right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think Levis is going to get the lion's share of those preseason reps next week. And we'll see. Maybe he can raise his stock enough that another team is willing to give you some value for him. But excited for next week. Joint practices on Tuesday. The preseason game on Thursday, first real benchmark for this Titans team. TD will be out there covering it all, so make sure you keep up with him. TD, always great having you in, and we'll do it again soon.
I appreciate it. It's great to be seen, man.
That does it for us today. Again, we are back on Monday reacting to everything going on with the Titans. They practice tonight at Nissan Stadium. They practice again on Sunday, so we'll have some content to react to on Monday morning at 9. Chase and Big Joe are coming up next. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.